Hello, hello. Guess what time it is? Mate, you know what? This Friday Night Lives is a true definition of thank God it's Friday. It really is, because I only thank God because I get to sit with you handsome gentlemen and discuss the property market, information, knowledge, rant, and discuss all things life. All right. So, guys, if you're watching us for the first time, welcome to Friday Night Live. If you're watching it live, type in live in the chat. If you watch this on replay, type in replay on the chat. If there's something you want us to cover, please let us know. Give us some feedback. If you've got friends or family you think who will benefit from these Friday Night Lives that we do every single Friday, Sean, Mark, Keshav, and producer Anna behind the scenes. Then we got to get Anna in front of the screen so everyone can see who producer Anna is. And
Yes.
guys, if you're coming back and watching us week after week, thank you for doing that. Welcome home. We love your support. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you for hitting the bell icon. Now, before I keep plugging our Friday Night Lives, let's introduce tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is knowledge and how useless the power of knowledge is becoming in the year 2021. Often, I'm guilty of using this very, very often, but I use it quite loosely, I've realized now, that knowledge is power. That is a partial statement. That's an incomplete statement. Knowledge is not power anymore. Implementation of the right knowledge is power. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Sean, Mark, and myself, your host, Kesh, we're going to discuss the problem of the knowledge economy today, the problem of having too much information, and the problem that people using all this information are finding themselves more stuck than ever, and how we as human beings, unfortunately, as much as we love options, get quite overwhelmed. Most people love to have 3 options to choose from. Right? When it comes to property, Sydney alone has over 700 suburbs, my friends. So whether it's real estate, whether it's choosing your career, whether it is talking business, whether it is finding the right partner. Speaking of partner, guys, I'll give you a quick interesting fact before we get in tonight while we're warming up and people are joining in. I don't know if this was facts or not. Facts are scraps. But this is one of those tabloid news. Apparently, all of us have 4 million people that would be the perfect partner for us in this world.
I hope the mystery now.
Right? And we decide to pick that one.
Wow. Good.
Right?
That's interesting.
That is interesting. Now, this is not Australian Bureau of Statistics. This is not Keshav's Bureau of Statistics. This is some Vogue tabloid rubbish. I don't know if it's rubbish or not. It's quite interesting. And even then, right, some people make the right decision, some people don't. And when I say the right partner, I'm talking about a life partner here, not a business partner. Someone you would be really in sync with, right? So again, choices. If I said to a man or a woman or a person saying, you got to pick out of these 4 million people, you got to pick one person, they would be quite overwhelmed. They really would. They really, really would. Hence the multiple swipes on Tinder. People just can't decide. They just want to keep swiping, right? So tonight, let's talk about the knowledge economy, the power of the knowledge economy, and how it empowers the right person with the right mindset, and how it takes away power, creates decision fatigue for a lot of people. So guys, as always, let me start with some case studies, some examples, and warm up the room. We'll go through some questions and answers. Of course, and people, if you guys are watching this live tonight, please put some chats or comments as we go. Producer Anna might be able to pick them up and throw them in. So we'll try and do some live answering. I don't know, that'll be fun. Sean, Mark, what do you think? Do you think if people commented live, we could digress? I love digressing.
100%. I think what we need is we need some sound effects. Maybe Anna can join us. We need that background horn when something gets announced. You know, that type of stuff.
That is such a good idea.
Radio station.
That is such a good idea. But before I get into all of this, as usual, let me ask you, Sean, how was your week?
Oh, I've been waiting for this question all week. My week was absolutely chaotic, but chaotic in a good way, as always.
That's awesome. Do you want to let the people who are waiting know?
People who are what? Sorry?
Waiting?
Those that are waiting for me to get back to you, please know that I have not forgotten you. I really haven't, and I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I have a backlog list of only about 100 people. That has gone down from 200 from last week. So we're getting there. Just be patient. It is very turbulent times right now, and I've been having the same conversations with people because we all of us here right now, we know how bad it can get. Sometimes we're booked out fortnights in advance with actually no spare windows in the middle, except for when you're doing chaos management. So the week has been chaotic. For those that are waiting on me to get back to them, please be patient. I love you and I send my regards. We are going to be coming through this on the other side in a better way. And for this Friday Night Live, I actually have a very special shout out for someone who I promised to shout out to because it was fun and they love tuning in. So Arun from Sydney, if you're tuning in, you're the man. I enjoyed the conversation with you.
Arun's always there. Yep.
We love working with you and keep up the great work. Spread the love and your mindset, Arun, is on another level. And you know about our topic this evening, and I hope we can drop some hidden gems out there for everyone tuning in. So that was my week.
And guys, I'm not. I know you think Sean's my mate and taking his side. No, legit, Sean's under the pump. All of us are, which is a good thing because we are going above and beyond to make sure that our clients get the best result. And we just don't want to go get something off the shelf. We don't believe in cookie cutter. We like to tailor solutions for our clients. Good things take time, and we are going to deliver those things. So for people who've been patient, thank you very much. We love you. You know who you are. And Aaron, again, shout out from my end as well. Mate, you're a legend. Mark, how's your week been?
This is where my little horn comes in. My week has been, I'm going to give you a nice one. It's been stupendous.
Whoa. Ooh, hello.
Yeah, hello. It's been a good one. It's been a good week. It's been a strong week. We've got a lot of, like Sean says, a lot of business to take care of all together, all three of us. So some exciting times ahead. And we're officially the last quarter of the year. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes about the next 3 months. I think we're going to have an unorthodox end of the year, I think.
Yeah, we are. And you brought something up, Mark, where I might, Anna, producer Anna, you can make a note of this. First of all, let me address Arun. Thank you for your question. So Arun's question, which we're going to answer tonight, is how to convince a person to move away from analysis paralysis. We're going to answer this. The entire topic's about this. I'm going to answer this tonight. We all are going to answer this. Thank you, Aaron, for your question. Now, talking about last quarter of the year, thank you, guys. LinkedIn user. It's anonymous, but thank you. I love it. But, guys, I'll tell you what. It's last quarter of the year, and Mark really brought something on. Let me know if you guys are interested. Next Friday or the following Friday, before we wrap up the month of October, I can get Sean, Mark, myself together, COVID safe, of course, and make sure we can do a whole goal planning, just Friday Night Live on goal setting. And I'm taking you through each segment of goal setting together, how we set our own personal goals, business goals, health goals, life goals, so on and so forth. Because goal setting is a big part of actually getting out of analysis paralysis, right? So you know you've got a target in mind. Often why people get stuck there, they don't know where to go. Why are they doing this? They don't have a very strong why. But guys, again, I digress here a little bit. But Mark, that was a wonderful introduction. The last quarter of the year, usually people want to put tools down, relax. We've had a tough year. All three of us believe last quarter of the year, pedal to the metal, go harder than ever. Because do you know what? That's the difference between winners and losers. That's it. I know it's been a rough year. I understand it's been tough, but we've got goals, we've got commitments, and when we have those goals set, we've got the right mindset. Like Sean said, Aaron's got a great mindset. So guys, without further delay, I think we've been 10 minutes in. I think whoever had to join has joined this. Let's talk about knowledge being a challenge. So Sean and Mark, I'll tell you where my challenge begins, right? So today, while I was sitting on the internet, I Googled property investing. In fact, let me see if I can get a window up. If producer Anna wants to open up that window that I've just shared, you can see there right on the top, it says about 298,000 results when you talk about property investing.
That's 298 million results.
298 million results, right? So it is impossible for me to go through this stuff and figure out what it is. Then when you look at properties for sale, there's over 170,000 properties for sale just in Australia. And by the time they're on realestate.com.au, I don't know if they're worth buying or not. That's a little controversial, but let's just say that. They're on the shelf out there. And in this sort of market, it can get very, very tough. So that's a big challenge. And if you really want to filter through rubbish, this is a shameless plug. Guys, go on our JR Prosperity Partners page. Click the subscribe button, click the bell icon. So every time we upload something, you can get access to this. But still, doing this isn't good enough. And I'll tell you why. Even watching just JR Prosperity, I don't care. I'm not even doing a plug. I don't even care whether you watch the videos or not. What I care about is what are you doing after watching those videos, and are those videos relevant to you, right? So jokes apart, getting knowledge today, Sean and Mark, is not the hard thing, right? We are half cyborg. I could be a cardiothoracic surgeon in 2 seconds, in theory. So if you're a cardiothoracic surgeon, I'm not taking away from your hard work. I'm just saying in theory, I can WebMD any disease, right? I can go on YouTube and learn how to make a house. I can go on YouTube and learn how to fly a plane. I can go and read stuff online, right? The problem that's now arising, Sean and Mark, and I see this very, very often with people, is we as a society, it starts from our childhood, right? Your friend selection, your school selection, your education selection for that matter, is often pre-planned by your surroundings or your loved ones or so on and so forth, right? So say, for example, in my household, I grew up around, my mum is a gold medalist and she's got her, she's got a PhD and all of that sort of stuff. So education was a really big thing. My dad came from a business family, right? So business and education were very, very important. But they were very practical about it, where they said, hey, education needn't just be formal. If you want to go do your MBA, you want to do that stuff, great, but education is important. Knowing stuff is important, especially in your own trade, right? So my parents taught me something about a circle of competence, right? Everyone has a circle of competence and the 3 circles. If you want to visualize it, think of one circle, then there's a smaller circle, then there's a tinier circle. So the circle right in the middle, the target circle is the stuff that you know for a fact. If I woke up Sean and Mark in the middle of the night and asked them something which was within that inner circle of their competence, they could answer that in the middle of the night, right? So people who drive cars, I can tell you the number of times I've driven 8 hours, 9 hours, and I don't remember half of the drive because I was driving subconsciously. I wasn't paying attention. Bullseye. There we go, Freddie. Thank you. Right? Then you go beyond the bullseye to the middle circle. That is stuff that you know, but you consciously understand the bits of it that you don't know, but you know enough that you can go and absorb the right information to get the right people to solve that puzzle, right? The outer circle, where most people sit, especially if you don't do it day in and day out, is a circle of incompetence. You know for a fact, consciously, you have no idea about that topic. For example, if you came and told me about the science to launch a rocket into Mars and at what point the engines should shut off, I have no idea. Can I fake it? Can I Google it? Yes. Will Googling it be enough for me to be able to actually go launch a rocket? Not really, right? So that is beyond my circle of competence, right? in situations like that, I would go and get the right people, make sure I put it together. Where knowledge is becoming a problem now, guys, is this. For a lot of people, they're time poor, right? So in your day-to-day life, most of your time goes into working or looking after your family, and just like the week passes. It's October already, right? Imagine we've been through a lockdown. We've had the most monotonous life, all of us. And Victoria, my love goes out to you, have had it worse than us, right? They've been in lockdown. But even though we've lived such a repetitive life, we haven't realized how quickly the time has passed. Now, what's happening is through this really, really busy life, people are trying to do things outside of their daily routine. For example, a fitness routine, an investment routine, a retirement plan, a career change, or an upgrade of skills, right? And the problem is the people that are trying to do this have been primed to think in a tunnel, right? You go to play school, your first friends are your parents, right? Or you go to the local school and those kids are your friends. You don't know what, you don't know your likes versus dislikes and so on and so forth, right? Even your favorite food or drink is based on the stuff that you experienced, right? So people coming from particular parts would really enjoy a certain type of food and drink, not because they're weird or different, that's what they grew up around, right? So let's just say you went to school, or you didn't go to school, or then a career was picked for you, or you chose a uni degree. For example, I chose commerce and finance, did my bachelor's. So I had a tunnel vision. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to go get a job, whatever it might be, right? What happens is when you leave that barrier and you get into your first job, you get into your first, and that's what a lot of people like to study for, I believe, love to study for a very long time. It's a good excuse to say I'm still at uni, right? You don't have to face reality. But okay, I might get bagged out on that one, but that's my personal opinion, right? Now, the problem now is once you get your first job, or you've started your first business, or whatever it might be, there is really no one telling you what to do next, because there's not one right way to do something next. Sean, Mark, and Keshav can work, all three of us can work in real estate, and we all can have a very different approach to the same thing, right? Some people are making money buying and selling real estate. Some people are making money holding real estate. Some people are making money developing real estate. Some people are making money in residential. Some people are making money in commercial. Some people are making money through agriculture. Some people are making money through crypto. Some people are making money through drop shipping. Some people are making money through a restaurant and alcohol business. Some people are making money through selling cars.
Flipping watches.
Flipping watches. So there's no no right way to do it, right? This is where the problem starts. And it all starts with, and Aaron, thank you for your question here. I'm going around in a little bit of a circle, but the problem starts with a lot of people don't know what they actually want. And even if they do know, they don't know how to get all the moving parts working together. And what that leads them to is the rabbit hole of Googling stuff, right? So if I read a case study on Sean or Mark, who might be of a very different income in a different country. So I sometimes sit across people say, but my cousin in the US did this. And I just go, or my so-and-so in India did this. Mate, the laws are different, property is different, the markets are different, contracts are different, lendings are different. Mate, you're in India on a term deposit, you can get 7, 8, 9% return. But on a home loan, you're paying 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13%. There is no positive cash flow unless you go in at a 20% LVR. It's all a capital gains play, right? None of this positive cash flow leverage game that is going on. So again, where knowledge is becoming a big challenge more and more, I see often is people come back to me with stock standard articles or a case study from someone. So let me give you a quick example here, and then I'll take this to Sean and Mark. So I had a lovely gentleman. Let's just say they were earning, between them and the partner, they were earning like a combined income of 150, right? And at the moment they've got a mortgage of almost $700,000 or 750, something like that, $700 or $650,000. And he really wanted to go buy another property and they wanted to upgrade their home, for example, right? And the idea was to sell their home and buy the next home in a booming market. Because in his head, he's like, oh, I'm going to sell for more. And I go, mate, do you realize that Sydney, and then I'm going back 6 months, guys. So I'm just giving you a little bit of context of timing. So I said, do you realize that if you sell your property for $50,000 or $100,000 more and it takes 6, 8, 12 weeks for it to settle, some pockets are going up $25,000 a week, mate, like 99.9%. By the time you settle your property, you'll pretty much be homeless because you won't be able to afford your own home back. 1. 2, he goes, oh, but my friends built multiple properties doing this. And I go, fair enough. They built multiple properties doing this. And in his head, they switched multiple properties. So he had friends who bought a cheaper property, sold it in a couple of years, upgraded, but they didn't build a portfolio. But in his head, he felt that they had multiple properties. And what he couldn't understand is with his income, and I'm not, again, there's not bagging out someone's income, like respectfully. With that income, mate, you're not borrowing $1.2, $1.3 million. And off chance you are, you're done, mate. You're not buying anything else. I don't care whether you made $2 million in equity. No one's going to lend you money unless your income goes up. And this is where delusion and wrong information starts to come in for people, where they want to build an investment portfolio, but want to upgrade their home at the same time, but want to do nothing about increasing their income because that's taking responsibility. Like, you're supposed to know this magic trick. The magic trick for a situation like that is buy the lotto ticket. That is it. Because you got to understand, you can't compare yourself to, and again, I asked him about his friends and so on and so forth in the situation. So I close up the story. I'll go to Sean then. Is one of the friends he told me was a GP. The wife was a senior project manager at one of the top 10 companies in Australia, right? So their household income was cracking over 450 combined. They've been in Australia for 15 years and they own a property in the North Shore that they bought 15 years ago and they owe 300 grand on it. So it's a very, very different dynamic. And this is why people, where frustration and analysis paralysis comes in, is they're not very clear on what's possible for them to begin with. And I am a true believer. You can call me a dreamer. I believe anyone can do anything, provided you're real with yourself and you know what needs to be done. Just because Sean did XYZ, just because Mark did XYZ, or I did XYZ, by Googling it, you're not going to be able to automatically do it. You need to understand your personal circumstances, and you got to be crystal clear on your goals. And the most important thing, Sean and Mark, what I feel in today's era, is to know where to consume information from. 1, 2, apply the goddamn information. Okay? The best diet in the world is not going to work if you don't follow the diet. The best workout plan in the world is not going to work if you don't work out. And I'll tell you this, mate. You look at university, school, anything. There are 100 kids in the class, the same teacher, all of them get the same training. One becomes a billionaire, the other blames the education system. Go figure. The same information was given. One person in that class just knew how to use that better. Sean, throwing that back to you, mate. Where are you seeing this knowledge actually depowering people instead of empowering people?
I see it almost every single day. So one is knowledge out of context. So when I say knowledge out of context, oh, wait a second, those guys built $1 billion app idea in and they became worth $1 billion out of nowhere, so we can do that too. That's knowledge out of context. The reason I say that is 99 times out of 100, or at least 999 times out of 1,000, there's been a lot of background work that's gone into an overnight success. It's been about 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years at least, or let's say 5 years at bare minimum, to get into that overnight success mode. And it doesn't really happen overnight. There's a whole bunch of work that goes in. So knowledge in the sense, like if you look at Elon Musk's story, wow, he's doing all these things, but he's gone through some turbulent times. But as a kid, his whole childhood was reading everything he could get his hands on. So are you willing to pay the sacrifice and give your first 20 years of your life to just reading to then make $20 million? How many people would pay that price? So it goes back to what you said, Kesh, as well, which is everyone wants the cake, the cherry, and they want to eat the cake and the cherry as well. I was talking about this with Arun earlier as well. But long story short, everyone wants everything from, that's giving them the plus points, the brownie points in life. It's making their friends like them more. It makes them better entertainers in their circles. But they're just not willing to pay the price. It goes back to the magic trick, We need a magic trick to be able to upgrade our home and get to investment properties so the future's great and the present's great. Now, okay, there is a solution for that. Go and take 2 more jobs. How many of them want to take 2 more jobs? Oh, no, I don't. I don't want 2 more jobs. Well, have you tried asking your boss for a raise? Why not? Because the boss is going to say, great, what have you done to warrant the raise? So the idea is, and for everyone listening and tuning in right now, I give it all a go. Give it all a go when you log into work on Monday. I like how you both are just drinking your drinks. Give it a go on Monday. Just ask your bosses for a raise, everyone. If you all work a 9-to-5 job, you've all been working hard, just give it a try. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get paid the same. or actually, don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it, because it might backfire on you. If you ask your boss for a raise, he might say, I've been meaning to have a conversation with you. I actually need to pay you less. So do it at your own risk. Now, again, knowledge can be used and applied in so many different facets, but talking about artificial intelligence a little bit, for anyone that wants to not be able to sleep tonight, I encourage you all to check out the interview with GPT-3. It's not a model of a Porsche 911. It's actually just an artificial intelligence model called GPT-3. And if you actually understand how advanced this thing is, it has all the knowledge in the world. And of course, it slips up in certain locations, but it knows everything, right? So if it knows everything, it can also know how to implement ideas and implement, let's say, concepts, implement design things. The idea is knowledge is with our phones right here. So we're already half cyborg. Like people are afraid about artificial intelligence or the robots. Well, we're already half cyborg in our day-to-day life, because if we need information, we make phone calls to speak to people that are 50, 100 kilometers away, and we still get the answers to the questions that we ask, right? So when we're looking at an interesting angle, which is how to convince someone to move away from analysis paralysis, how does that really happen? So it goes back to really determining what you actually want. Now, even this question is so simple, but it's so complicated. What do you really want? Now, when you're looking at what you really want, it all stems from a few core base values. Those few core base values are literally being loved, freedom, growth, security, so forth, so on. Those are your core values. There's a couple more, but all your goals, all your ambitions, everything, legacy, all stems from those. And if you figure out what you really want, there was this meme a few years ago about, I think, Ryan Gosling from a movie just going, what do you want? Tell me what you want. What do you want? Right? If you can answer that question, the analysis paralysis goes away, because people have, number one, not made a decision of knowing what they actually want. So make a decision first. Decide what you want. Do you want to be wealthy, or do you want to impress the neighbors? Pick one, but you can't have both. Or you can have both if you decide to work your butt off. So if you're not going to work your butt off, don't talk about having both. Pick one.
100%.
So that's the way I would cancel out analysis paralysis, and even analysis paralysis in smaller decisions as well. Oh, I need a dessert. Oh, but I haven't worked out all week. Oh, I don't know what to do. Analysis paralysis picks people all the time, but it doesn't have to. The best thing you can do is making a decision. Decision stems back to the word release from. Release yourself from the bounds. Once you get free, you get freedom. Making a decision, whether it's for good or bad, actually mentally stimulates you in a different way. So some of the struggles I go through on a daily basis is getting people in my personal circle to just make a decision. But instead, a lot of people in personal circles end up just whinging because it's easier. It attracts attention. It attracts, people trying to baby you down here and there. But I'm glad that the three of us are very like-minded in the fact that if we know we want something, hustle, grind, it's yours. That's it. Go for it.
We say this all the time, and Mark, I'm going to have a question for you. We all of us at the JR family, in everyone, the greater team, everyone here, we often, every Monday when we have our meetings, we all say this: we are solely responsible for our successes and failures in life. I am responsible for my success, and I am responsible for my failure. In fact, one of my mentors said to me, he goes, mate, you know, everything you view around you, good, bad, or ugly, in a way is something that you have envisioned for yourself. And your situation is as such. So, and he talked a lot about going, like, understanding the flow of like the river's flow. And he goes, sometimes water is harsh and sometimes the water is smooth. Sometimes you will brush up against a branch or hit your head on a boulder. And sometimes it's going to be a hot day and you're going to enjoy that time in the river, but the river will continue to flow and it'll change its flow and you can do nothing about it. Either you understand the flow and you synergize yourself with the flow, because either or the river is going to flow. So for me, I think where decision fatigue, where this knowledge, the cyborg stuff that you've talked about, Sean, 100% is biting people, is they're not clear on what they want. And be honest with yourself. I don't think you have to be embarrassed. I think very early on, very early on, I remember as a kid, I got into a debate with this uncle of mine. He said, I remember summer holidays in India, and I saw a really nice car. I think it was a Ferrari. Sean, I think it was a 360 Modena at the time. This is going back 2006, 2007. And he said to me, he goes, oh, what an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, you can't even drive these on these roads. And mate, I think I was in year 9, year 10. I can't even remember how old I was. But I literally turned around to him and I said, mate, do you really realize that you are not in a position to comment? That vehicle made you upset because it made you reflect within yourself, and it was quite confronting. Whoever that person is has done something, whether the Ferrari was necessary or not. They're in a position of life to execute, whether they drive it, whether it goes in a pothole, whatever it does. That person has made a decision and has played life at a different level and said, oh, it could be inheritance. Doesn't matter. I said, mate, the grandfather must have made a decision. What are your grandkids going to enjoy? So very, very early on, for me, it was very clear in my head. I don't care what your cause is, how you feel, what religion you come from, what background you come from. If you want to be heard, you've got an idea that you believe in, you need capital. And to get capital, the first finger that should be pointed at is not going for Series A or Series B funding. It's not going and begging and borrowing from friends and family. It's from here. If you're not going to bet on yourself and you're not going to be clear with what you want, and sacrifices are being made, Sean. Sacrifices, like we could clock off, all three of us could clock off at 2 on a Friday and not come to work till Wednesday. It's a conscious decision too, right? So Mark, in your life, you tell me something. When it comes to decision making, mate, like you're pretty good at this sort of stuff, and everyone goes through analysis paralysis. Everyone Googles and one day wants to be a Bitcoin mining guy, one day wants to be a billionaire, one day wants to start a drop shipping business. The grass is always green on the other side till you actually have to do the work. How have you made decisions, or how have you seen other successful people actually make decisions, whether right or wrong, and how do they actually follow through?
Yeah, look, good question. I think over the years I've been naturally indecisive personally, and it's led me down the wrong path because I put my trust or my faith in others. Right now, I think you mentioned a good point there, Kesh. Is bet on yourself. If you can't bet on yourself, then you will point the finger. You will go to Series A funding, Series B. You will get all the excuses under the sun. Build this big pile of, we'll call it debt, and it won't be just a financial debt. It'll just be a debt of guilty feelings. Feeling. I don't want to swear too much. I won't carry on, but you know what I mean. It's going to be a big pile of rubbish, right? And you're going to always continue adding to that pile of debt of rubbish, right? Now, in the years, I think it's when you get pressed up against a wall, right? So in Australia, and I won't go into too much detail about what I really want to say. I'll say it to a PG-rated audience. But in Australia, we're very, very lucky in this country. Very lucky. I was born and raised here. I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but from what I see, the limited information that I see, I can see that we are in, a country that trumps, if not all of the countries across the world. All right. Now, sometimes I feel like we've got it too good, where those who do come from overseas and create opportunity for themselves here in Australia, give it a red hot go and succeed beyond belief. All right, they go beyond measure, and that's because their back has been against the wall. And you get to that point where you go, I've got nothing to lose. If my family trusts in me, so on and so forth, I go for it. All right, and I think there's a lot of driving factors as you get older. I mean, I had family, in the last couple of years, and that for me was a big driving factor to really start excelling in a few things and whatnot. And a previous mentor of mine has said it, and if he is listening now, shout out. But he said to me many years ago, he goes, at the end of the day, nothing really matters unless you've got a gun pointed at your head. That's when you really know the definition of life, and you go, wow, I don't want to die right now. So I think a lot of people, when you're in a good country, when you're in, you always say it as well, that the weak men create bad times and so on, right? But when you're in a state of too much choice, when you're in a state of having it too good, you don't make a decision. When you've got your income coming in and you get paid handsomely, family's happy, kids are going to a nice school, things are good. They can be better, but they're good. You're not going to die tomorrow. And if you lost your job, you get another one, and it'll probably still be the same type of job, and everything will be okay again. But it's these type of people, and I was actually just talking to a friend of mine only before this live session tonight as well, where when you're spoiled for choice, unfortunately, you don't execute, right? You do fall into analysis paralysis naturally because you're concerned about hoarding. You're concerned about holding on to what you've got as opposed to expanding, because you don't need to, you don't need to expand. When you really think about it, you could live life right now the same way you're living. But unfortunately, it's those people that when they do get to 45, 50, 55, they go, oh, light bulb moment. I should have invested 20 years ago, because now I don't really have much going for me now that's going to give me what I want. Now, put that aside, forget investment, right? But just keep it to just simple human instinct. Like, if we're out in the jungle, let's strip ourselves naked. I know it sounds really full on, but let's...
Hey, grill!
Let's go back
to Bear Grylls, his cameraman. I'm like, mate, this guy's just coughing shit for nothing.
But let's take it back to, let's go back 500 years ago, maybe more. Let's go back pre-Jesus Christ, what do they call it, BC, right? And let's assume that we're cavemen, and the only way to survive wasn't to go like, oh, should I kill the leopard or should I kill the tiger? What meat is going to taste better? It was kill the animal and eat, because if I don't, it's going to kill me, right? And these people take too much time to decide, do I invest into stocks, into shares? Do I put it towards my children's education? Make a decision. It doesn't matter what you want to do. Well, I'm not going to judge you, Sean. Yes, I'm not going to judge you, but make a decision what you're going to do for yourself in life and just run with it. Trust the gut instinct and just go.
I'll tell you, Mark, that just reminds me of something. I'll tell you what the problem is. I think the problem is, and again, going back to a lot of mentors, so I'm a big believer in having coaching and mentoring for my personal life. I think it's the greatest way, greatest gift, quickly be able to learn off other people's mistakes, experiences, challenges. And a person explained to me, he said, do you know why a lot of people in their 40s and 50s often want to invest and do other things and so on and so forth is every birthday or every new year, we set resolutions, because every year that passes by, you realize you're further away from your dreams and closer to death. Every birthday, you're further away from your dreams. As a kid, you'd say, oh, when I'm 25, I'm going to do this. You realize 25 and go, oh, shit, I'm really not done anything. Maybe, oh, look, when I'm 35. But the problem is, through this entire thing, you want to have a goal. You have a goal, you have a vision for yourself or whatever. And you have excuses such as life got in the way or analysis paralysis, because you never set up the steps for those goals. Now, these people who are very confused about their children's education or whether investing in shares versus property versus buying new versus old versus this versus that. My answer to you is do something, right? The problem they are in analysis paralysis, Mark, is because they don't want to take ownership of what's going to happen. And the reason they don't want to take ownership is they've lived like cowards all their life. People will live their entire life being told what to do, show up day in and day out for a miserable wage that they're not happy with, in a miserable life that they're not happy with a miserable income, giving themselves excuses because it is too difficult for them to do something else. Because if by chance it doesn't work out, they're not willing to take the responsibility. Versus success mindset people who take decisions and do not go through analysis paralysis. When they go through a negative experience back of a decision, they're willing to take responsibility, learn from that, and keep moving forward. And I'll tell you something, mate, like the biggest challenge now is a reality check, and that's what people really need. The reality check is very simple. If you are someone who's in your mid-50s, you still got $1 million left on your mortgage, you have an average income, you don't have much in your super, and you came to Australia at a later stage in your life, from a job change, whatever, no one's going to come and save you. I don't know whether the pension will exist or not. You're not going to keep up with cost of living, right? So you're never going to pay off your home, no matter what it is. You can do all the barefoot investing you want, putting $50 in your, I don't know, mate. I don't want to get into that book and rip it apart, but there's a problem there, right? The second thing is understand your realities, right? So the first time I was making a property purchase, or the first time I went to do a business deal, or the first watch I purchased, I knew there's better deals out there. I knew there are better watches out there. I knew that there's better opportunities out there. I wasn't ignorant to the fact, but I was very real with myself saying, these are the deposit funds you have. This is your starting point. And by making this decision, it's going to be better off than doing nothing at all. And I will take personal responsibility to increase my income on a yearly basis so I can continue on and not wait for this equity release. So when people come and ask me, oh, how do you build these 5-6 homes? You know, how does the equity work? You want to build 6 homes together? Make $1 million a year, save a shit ton of it. Don't wait for equity release for your next deposit. Put cash in and keep going. If people bought 5 similar properties, one bought it all in 1 year, the others bought it over 10 years, the one who bought the same property, same characteristics in year 1 would outperform the guy who staged their purchases. Make sense? So I think where the problem is coming in, Mark, where analysis paralysis has become a big issue, is people don't want to take responsibility for their decisions and they find themselves stuck. Now, producer Anna, if I'm stuck or the boys are stuck, not sure, let me know in the chat. We good? I can't see the boys, or have they frozen, have we?
We can see you nice and clear.
Yeah.
You can? Okay. For some reason on my end, you have frozen. So I will continue to go on. So I reckon for people, it is take a decision, guys. And your decision is based on your knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, find the knowledge. And if you're uncertain of what's possible for you, speak to someone about it, right? If you're in a career that you're unhappy with, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm getting some internal messages. We'll slam this in a second. And so we really got to make sure that you're up for the decision. Now, we had a comment there from a gentleman talking about that there's someone who said, what will you say to PK blatantly says new properties are a bad investment? Well, first of all, Tom, thank you for your comment, by the way. I have no idea who PK is.
I love this question.
PK, it's a lovely question. So what I'll say to PK is that is rubbish. Reason being that is subject to the personal situation. If you're someone who's got large sums of capital and you can add value to a property, absolutely you should be buying older property. If you can buy $1 million, $2 million home in an affluent suburb, do a knockdown rebuild, subdivide, do those sort of things. Absolutely. If you're beginning and you're building your portfolio, I usually don't like to buy older properties because you have to reinvest constant money into those deals. And what I would say to PK is those older properties were new at once. And I can tell you, if the person who bought it new one time ago has made a lot of money before they resold it, provided they bought in the right place. So again, That's a very ignorant statement, Tom, that PK says only, mate, PK must sell you a $5,000 course to tell you that. I don't know what PK's catch is and who he is.
See, the biggest misconception, the biggest misconception here is that there's going to be people that have, if you only have to do new, they'll badmouth old. You only have to do old, you'll badmouth new. And then someone who badmouths both will sell you a course on Bitcoin anyway. The idea is it doesn't matter. So going back to the specific question, what would you blatantly say to PK who blatantly says new properties are bad investments? Okay, thanks Anna for that. So, well, bad investments, it depends on your strategy. Depends who you are, depends what your income bracket is, depends what your goals are, depends what your deposit is. So luckily at JR, what we do is we have the ability to help clients do either or. We have the ability to do anything under the sun, including development as well. The idea is you're meant to do something that's based on your strategy, but if this is something that someone said in the last 12 to 18 months, then someone must be living under a rock, because new property in the last 12 to 18 months has exploded in value in terms of helping people do something great. When you factor in things like your tax benefits, your tax breaks, you just need to make sure that you're in a right spot. So there's a big difference though, because there are people who have been spruiked new property, which is a different story. If you're getting spruiked new property where you're getting paid from developer, you're getting paid from builder, and you're getting paid from the rental agent and everything involved, of course you have to be careful of those sorts of things. So I'm talking about your mining town horror story side of things. If you go out there and you go in locations which are heavily oversupplied, heavily areas that there's going to be challenges, sure, don't do that. But that's where knowledge is important, but making an informed decision. So 100% agree that it depends on your strategy.
I'll give you an example, mate. So I can only talk about myself. So I made a decision to buy a new home in Bella Vista instead of buying in the older parts of Blacktown. And that worked out really well for me from a new versus old. So if I had gone and bought an older property and said, oh, Bella Vista is a new suburb, it's farm, they're subdividing this, I don't know whether I should buy a house and land package, I would be sitting on a $900,000 property instead of a $3 million home. So I don't know, man. I don't know. If I had gone and bought in Macquarie Fields a 1,000-meter square block for $600,000 last year, they're still selling for $700,000 this year. But if I went and bought a house and land package for $550,000 or $600,000 in Marsden Park or Box Hill, they're valued in at $1.3 million. So I don't know.
The old home's still under 980.
Yeah. So again, I don't. Again, look. If you're buying a house in Castle Hill, and if you're that person, absolutely, you're going to spend $2.5 million. You're going to Wahroonga. You're going to buy a $2 million old home. You're going to French's Forest. You're buying a $2 million old home. You've got the money to hire a builder, do a knockdown rebuild, do a land subdivision, 100%. You are not. Please do not go buy a house and land. If you're that person, it is not for you. You got $50,000 to your name. You're just starting off. You need to minimize your tax deductions. You need to get higher rents. You don't want to reinvest into into an older property. You don't want damaged properties, or you don't want to go constantly reinvest into older things. I wouldn't. And historically, I would tell PK, let's jump in the same street. A newer house would get a higher rent. A newer house will get maximum depreciation. A newer house will have less problems in the next 30 years. In fact, I teach my clients the 10-30 rule. Every 10 years you own a property, you got to be prepared for $30,000 worth of repairs and maintenance. Because if there are 100 properties that are empty on the marketplace at one godforsaken time, I want my property to be tenantable. I want my tenants, if you go and look at my properties, mate, my investment properties have better dishwashers than I have at home because, mate, it's immaculate. Because if I wouldn't live in it, why should someone else? And if you still live in the world, listen, when you're in the world of investing, and I'm just digressing here, and we were talking about analysis paralysis, you're trying to hack human behavior. You're trying to hack human behavior. And I'll give you an example, Tom, on this. There are people who would spend $4.5 million for a 3-bedroom apartment in Double Bay, but will not drive across the bridge. They will buy a brand new apartment in Double Bay, but they will not drive their asses across to PK to get a deal somewhere, right? Again, I'm trying to hack buyer behavior. We're trying to buy real estate. There's gold property that is geared towards capital growth. There's check property that is geared towards cash flow. There's deleverage. that is there for development, adding value, flipping for a profit, so on and so forth. So a blank statement like that is very, very ignorant, and people like that create analysis paralysis.
Yep.
And that's that. Did I go too hard? I apologize, but I felt passionately about it.
I think that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it really depends on what your actual strategy is on which way you go. That's the simple truth. So yeah, but yeah, I think going back to the idea about the whole fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, analysis paralysis and knowledge for knowledge's sake is really pointless unless it's going to be used for something. So it even goes back to like the Henry Ford example, right? So Henry Ford's asked, "Hey, what do you know about this? What do you know about that?" And his response is, "Well, I don't need to know the answer to those questions. If I push a row of buttons on my table to instantly I'll have a professional come in and be able to answer the answer to those questions." So luckily today that electric push button has become our phone, and for us we just all have to make a decision on figuring out which way we want to go, which sort of path we want to take, and make that decision. That's the important piece. And once that decision, you will be set free.
100%, guys. We've had some really. I think it's been this is a very interesting topic for me personally, Sean, and I know a lot of people suffer with this. It is. Tanushka, go hard or go home. I love it. And Mark, you reminded me of it. Yes, there is a saying. It's not my saying. I can't even remember where I read it. It said, "Tough men make easy times make weak men, and weak men make tough times." So again, it's about taking ownership, getting clarity on really what you want, and be willing to pay the price. Whether that price be capital, whether that price be education, whether that price be hustle, whether that price be Sean asking you to go and ask your boss for a promotion. Mate, if you're really that good at what you do, why are you working for someone? And if that's what you're comfortable with, if your employer is not going to give it to you, go somewhere else. And the reason you're not doing it is either you're not certain about yourself or your skill set. That's the only reason you're not going, right? And this analysis paralysis, again, has become an excuse, Sean, where people go, "Oh, such and such said this, or so-and-so said that." Mate, my first mentor said, the day you decide another man's going to tell you your future, pack your bags and go home. The only person who can dictate your future is you.
Exactly. And you were talking about a story earlier in the piece about this family that was like, "Oh, but I need to just upgrade my home and then keep upgrading and build a multiple property portfolio." Mark's onboarded a client recently who they actually did buy what they thought was their dream home, a really old shitbox, but in a growing suburb. So get this right. They bought an old shitbox in a growing suburb. I think Mark knows who I'm talking about. And they're actually considering just buying a new property now with a smaller land size, with a bigger 4-bedroom home instead of the old shitbox with a giant land size. They're considering going to there because their quarterly bill to upkeep that house for the last 3 quarters straight has been $10,000 a quarter. The faucet's broken, the bathroom's broken, there's no aircon in there. But they had to buy it because they thought, "Oh, I'm going to be a renovator and flipper. I'll add an equity to this deal and with this old property become a multi-millionaire." Oh my God. The number of people that want to be developers after taking a course is astounding.
It is ridiculous. And I'm going to share my screen in 1 second. Because before we wrap up, I really want to ask people a question and I don't want to rant on, and I just want to ask people a very, very simple question. I'm going to just pull up some examples of properties that have sold, right? And I just want to ask people this question. So often, okay, let's be fair, people say train station, hospitals, select schools are great things. Connectivity to the city, so on and so forth, well established, so on and so forth. Fair enough. There's always a discussion around these sort of properties. Okay, so producer Anna, if you allow me to share my screen. So I've got a question for people, right? So this is an 822 meter square block in a suburb called Macquarie Fields, which is in the southwest corridor. Macquarie Fields, for you guys who don't understand it, it's I'll just go into this property, 867, 53-1. When did it sell? 6th of October, so it's a recent sale. So I'm just going to zoom out for you guys here. So that's the train station, Macquarie Links. There's a select school here. It's close to Glenfield. It's on the airport line. It's an established suburb, right? It's a really, really established suburb, been around forever. And I think it's about 35 minutes or 40 minutes from the city, so on and so forth, right? Now, let me jump over. And what was the block size? Let's look at what sales have been here. So 561 block, 3 1 and 1, 735, 4 2 and 2, 637, 3 1 and 2, 1,000 meter square block for 925, right? And let's go to Box Hill.
Don't even need to go to Box Hill, just go to the ponds. Straight up.
No, but like I really want to take examples of ultra new, like Ponds is still established now, because once Ponds was new, but now it's old. Remember, Sean? So there's someone paid 1.1 million for a 250 meter square block, and so I can tell you guys where this suburb is for people who are watching and want to get context. There's no train station. It's very, very far away from Sydney.
What? It's further away from the city as well?
It is, and it's literally urban sprawl, right? And look at the block sizes and the land size. And I can tell you, if you want to go back and do your research, 448 block, 5.3 and 2, 1.42 million, 5.3 and 2, 1.64 million. But I don't want to go into the big houses. Where was the 250 meter square block? 300 block, 4, 4 and 1. Again, you know what 4, 4 and 1 really shows me? It's behavioral economics, right? People's requirements are changing. Honestly, if you ask me, I'd rather have en suites in all bathrooms, in all bedrooms, than have a second garage. If it really comes to it, I never understood why people have 6-bedroom homes with 2 bathrooms. I like my bathroom home, right? I know it's too much information, but I do. And this is an example of what the new Australian wants. Why am I supposed to buy a substandard property and do what with it? Would I buy a block like this? 100%. If I had the capital, the intelligence to subdivide, do a development, exit this property, I would buy this piece of junk. If I'm not that person, I'm going through a buy and hold, I have limited capital, don't want too many moving parts, I would bet on a horse like this. Again, before it became 1.1 million, of course.
Yeah, because that house was only about 885 grand.
So again, people like PK, whoever he is, again, not banging, I must be an amazing dude, whatever it is, it's a very ignorant statement, right? Why did the person from Box Hill not go to Macquarie Fields, which is an established suburb, has a train station, has a select school, could buy 1,000 meter square block at like almost $300,000-$400,000 less, right? Be on the airport line to the city, yet went up to Box Hill and paid for a 250 meter square block and built a home like that. And when you're in real estate, the only reason your property will go up in value is if someone wealthier moves into the suburb and pays a little bit more than you did. And I'll tell you something, gentrification and wealthy people don't want to live in Macquarie Fields, clearly. Not as yet, at least. So
I think as well, what we're going to see over the next, say, 10 years from now is, okay, let's look at Sydney landscape right now. Right, we look at places like Box Hill, for example, and go, wow, why would you pay that much to live that far out of the city? But the same things were being said 30 years ago, 40 years ago about places that are only 25 minutes from the CBD. Okay, and it's going to continue happening and happening and happening. And I think we're going to start to see forced gentrification. And what I mean by that is, whether gentrification means the same thing anyway, but people are going to have no choice but to move a lot further and further and further away from CBD amenities, because at the end of the day, whether they're qualified or not to enhance their earnings, they will be at a point where it'll be too late to jump on the bandwagon of an investment, whether it be real estate, anything, right? Things are going to continue excelling when it comes to the amount of cost of living. It's not going to get any slower. And forget real estate. We're not all of a sudden going to have the price of milk being $3 today for a litre, and then tomorrow we're going to have this enormous crash and it's all of a sudden 50 cents a litre. It costs too much now to produce that litre of milk.
I personally am not betting on milk because if people are they're milking all sorts of things, almonds, cashews. I don't know what they're going to milk next. I'm going to keep this PG-13. I'm not going to get into it. But producer Anna, I've got a house and land package that I want to show people who think properties don't make money. I've got an example for you guys. In 1970, some spruikers, Sean, was selling house and land packages in Castle Hill for $6,500. Man, they tried to stitch up people. I'll tell you that.
Oh, what a stitch up!
Oh, what a stitch up, right? So they were selling house and land packages in middle of nowhere, mate. Like, oh my God. And they were charging people.
That's in middle of Windsor Road and Old Northern Road. That's such prime location.
No, but they were talking rubbish because 6,500 people were definitely overpaying for real estate. And this is that ignorant rubbish that people talk about, right? This person here who made the 6,500 purchase, and I'm going to go and do a little bit of research. I want to see what the prices were in the eastern suburbs. This guy was forced gentrification, most likely, right? Was someone who was trying to establish themselves, just wanted a goddamn home, they were trying to establish themselves and grow. Imagine how horrible this person must feel today after 40 years that their home is worth $3 million when they paid 6,500. I mean, whoever sold them this house should be absolutely punished. How dare you sell someone for 6,500 and that today sells for $3 million? I reckon they really scammed people with that one. And really had a horrible financial loss from buying house and land in Castle Hill.
They were really badly scammed because it said final release. Did you see that? Final release. Don't miss out. Next stage is coming out. Go for it. Thanks, Teat. What a throwback, indeed.
This is the sort of rubbish. This is the sort of rubbish that gets people into trouble. And again, I know this is on LinkedIn. We got to do only fan version of this, like where it's not PG-13. Because when I hear stuff like this, it really gets under my skin. Not because of my bias, but because I'm ignorant.
What's only fans? We mentioned it a couple of times.
Where Keshav gets naked.
Oh, great.
He talks about real estate without his top on.
I need to subscribe to that.
On that note, we're getting silly. I can hear you coming from somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up, let's do some rapid robins from Sean. And before, Sean, you do your rapid robins and you think of them and ask us, I just want to tell you guys, whoever asked us questions today, thank you so much. Tom, we had a couple of LinkedIn users, Arun, Freddie. Thank you really so much. Tanushka, thank you for all your amazing comments. And yes, Sean should be watching Lux listings with you afterwards. I will make sure he switches off. Otherwise, I'm going to come and physically take his chair away and his monitors. We're going to do this. This is an office complaint against Sean. This is not just your complaint. We all have this complaint against Sean. He needs to switch off sometimes. Now, Sean, time for your rapid robins.
Beautiful. Well, gentlemen, thanks so much for that, Kesh. I think you've earned probably the biggest fan in Hills District now for life. So well done for that. On top of this,
I reckon you'll still come. It's in my favor, mate.
Look at the next comment.
I'll come in between, Mark.
Yeah, we need a new Oreo because every time I hang out with Mark, we just keep working more and more and more. Oh, there we go. Thanks, producer Anna. Okay, I've got to log off now. It's been too much work for the day.
It is. Where are rapid robins?
So rapid robins, thank you so much, Kesh. This one might come like a really quick surprise, but a quick one for you both, gentlemen. You only get to pick one. What is your favorite video game of all time? Let's go.
Oh my God.
Only
Grand
one.
Theft Auto 5.
Which one was that, Kesh?
Grand Theft Auto. I was going to say Forza, but I'm going to go Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, beautiful. Immersive.
GTA 5 for life.
Nice one.
Or till 6 comes out. I don't know. I'm not that committed, but let's just say that. Grand Theft Auto.
Excellent.
You know what? I'd love to answer that question. I'll give it a crack, but to be fair, I haven't played a video game since 2006. So I'm assuming the graphics are a little better since then. Maybe.
FIFA 06 still had great graphics.
Mate, I reckon you should go with a good old Hot Pursuit.
Is that the first Need for Speed where they had the HSV, the Holden?
No.
That was quite later on.
Hot Pursuit, that's the one like around the time when what was that movie? Not Gone in 60 Seconds. What was the other one? Fast and Furious. Is that around that time?
Yeah. So Need for Speed Underground.
Yes.
Underground.
I used to do the quarter mile races on that.
Yeah.
RX7, and I always used to blow the R35 or 34, whatever it was, because it had a higher rev range. And I remember I used to frustrate my mate at the time, a best mate of mine at the time, beyond belief, where I'm sure TV screens were broken, remote controls were launched everywhere. He could not beat me because I just had a higher gear range. So
I have to show you something before you go, because this is very important. Very quickly, producer Anna, can you share my screen?
Wow, look at that Diablo.
This was 1998, right? The Diablo. This was the shit. This was the Hot Pursuit. Mate, the graphics were horrible. But to give you context, 1998.
Wow.
And the one you're talking about, the one where I think I'll go back.
What about cars in Underground?
I think you are talking about this one here.
Wow,
this
producer Anna loves Underground as well.
Yeah, that's the one.
Pretty sick.
In Hot Pursuit, this one only came out, Kesh, in like 2008-9, I think.
Yeah, Underground was pretty sick as well because it had Snoop Dogg's. It was this
one.
Yeah, this is this one. This is the one, Underground 2. So Anna and Mark have the same favorite video game of all time. Well done, gang.
When did this come out? This
was like 2002 something. 2001, 2.
Look at me, bagging up people Googling stuff, and I sit here and do this on live stream.
The way I look at video games is it pre-GFC or post-GFC? Need for Speed was pre-GFC. Great time.
Fair enough. Sean, back at you. What was your favorite video game, or what is your favorite video game?
On a consistent basis, I was actually a competitive FIFA player for a while. So have won some tournaments and have been selected for an amazing set of VIP events. So FIFA's all time there. But if I had to just pick just the one video game ever, it would be Driver 3. A very unique game that was like...
That's a niche video game. That's pretty niche.
Very niche.
Very, very niche. Very good. Very entertaining. It was quite
gangster. Do you remember the game Time Crisis?
Yeah.
That was an old game.
Was that from the computer? That was a computer game, right?
It was a PS1, and it had a used to plug in the semi-automatic, the gun. And used to shoot.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I remember when you used to plug in that thing.
How many of you guys remember Dave?
Dave.
Oh my God, you guys. Last one, and then we'll wrap it up. I promise. Have you guys ever played Dangerous Dave?
Oh my goodness, no.
Is that when the first MacBook was made?
1990.
Wow.
1990. And again, this is the reason, guys, again, people must be sitting here why they're talking about video games is because older video games, just because they were cool, doesn't mean new video games don't work. People's choices and graphics have changed, their requirements. If GTA tried to have Dave like graphics, look, it worked for Minecraft, well done. They had to add a social aspect to it. But with times, things need to change, and you better own those things that are appealing to the future generations. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday Night Live. We had lovely Sean, we had Mark, and we discussed analysis paralysis. Is the knowledge empowering you or taking away your power? At the end of the day, if you want to get out of analysis paralysis, you want to know how to apply your knowledge, take responsibility, get very clear on your goals. And if you're stuck, find yourself a mentor, find someone who's done it themselves, find someone that appeals to you, whoever that might be, right? And a great recommendation would be to read Relentless, Mark. Would that be a great mindset book for people to read? Absolutely take out some time, do that for yourself. There we go. We got a little plug there. But if you're watching this, you watched it live, thank you again. Please subscribe, please share, ask us questions. Like we had so many people interact today. We really, really love your questions. Bring in the controversial ones, get in the value ones. Doesn't matter, we'll answer them all. If I don't have an answer, I will Google it. But on that note, this is Friday Night Live. Sean, Mark, and Kesh signing off. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen.
You.
And now we're going to have